In the first session, I believe you all met up with the carnival. You were all invited to the carnival through a handbill. Your handbill said whatever it would take to get you to show up at this carnival. And we went through and asked everybody what their handbill said. Let's do that one more time for Darius, who's a new character. Darius, what did your handbill say?
Your glorious conquest begins here.
Okay. So you all arrived at the carnival. Many of you met up with a lot of the people at the carnival, the troopers. You met Tyndall, who's the barker, and Woodenhead, who apparently heals from all injuries instantaneously. Some of you met the Gargantuan, the Invisible Man, the Living Skeleton. Most of you met Bakali, the professor, the researcher, the imp, and all the other freaks, carnies, whatever you want to call them. You're also aware of the Skura, who drive the wagons. And at the last session, the last thing that happened was Isolde said, "Stakes up, we're moving," and excuse me, and you are moving. The mist wrap around the wagons as they travel, and when they disappear, you find yourselves in a city that maybe some of you recognize. It's the city of Septentrion. Major city, right in the center of the continent. Not part of the Meridian Empire. An independent state. Much more cosmopolitan in culture than anything in the Meridian Empire. There's all kinds of races here. You've got Gith living freely here. You've got lycanthropes roaming around. Lycanthropy as a condition that people can't control has been cured. They are now optional lycanthropes, but they're living out their days here. The president of Septentrion, name is Mel. He's kind of he's a president in the same way that Putin is a president. He's reelected every couple of years and has been for 20 years. But yeah, you arrive in the city of Septentrion. And that is where you would overhear Pakali talking about how he's super glad to be back in Septentrion on this date. There's a lecture that he would like to give at the Challenger Trust Banquet Lecture Hall. It's a formal affair hosted by the trustees of Septentrion. They select speakers of clear voice, sound mind, and impeccable credentials to report on original researches or inventions of theoretical or practical importance. These evenings are held roughly once a year, though some years see 2 or 3 such events, while in other years none occur. The trustees, true to their charter and no doubt chuckling in discussion over cigars and port, encourage idiosyncratic and even amusing studies, but by individuals nonetheless able to convey proofs either inherently astonishing or startling in implication. In collective effect, the trustees judge nominees by the criterion "amaze me." The great formal dinner will occur tonight at the Research Institute here in Septentrion. All of the tables and microscopes and general research equipment will be put away in favor of tuxedos, gowns, splendid dress uniforms, glittering jewels, gleaming sabers, and waxed mustaches. The speaker, Professor Pakali, is known in these parts for his rigorous skepticism and methodical analysis that have earned him high reputation as a debunker of mediums, fortune tellers, prophets, holy sites, apparitions, and so on. So he's been going around and, somebody says, "Yeah, I spoke with God." He's like, "No, you didn't." That kind of deal. And he steadfastly refused to give any of you any hint of his topic for tonight. So in the interest of moving this along, because this is like a 5-hour scenario we're going to do in 3 hours, we're just going to move straight into the lecture. He seems to be a droll, entertaining, and precise man who recounts with relish the clever deceits and his cleverer exposures of charlatans and pretenders. Laughter is general and ongoing. There prove to be, however, and here his voice turns serious, categories of repetitious phenomenon offering no simple elucidation. I refer to the poltergeist, or to the traveler who suddenly finds himself dozens or thousands of miles or years from where he stood moments before, and to hauntings. But my presentation tonight concerns the last. I say haunting and not ghost or spirit because alone of such epiphenomena, haunters can be buildings, lanterns, stagecoaches, swords, and so on, as well as men, women, dogs, bears, processions, even armies. Worldwide, the store of causal evidence concerning haunting is enormous. And I say epiphenomena because the haunters are not linked with specific observers, and the hauntings presumably occur with or without human witness, as we shall see. Thus, perception of such an event is secondary to the event itself. The essential characteristics of haunters are simple. The person or thing must have existed, must have disappeared in some sense, and then must reappear once or many times. The location of the phenomenon may stay the same or may change. That which reappears may be partial and insubstantial, or be as solid and real-seeming as any member of tonight's illustrious gathering. No other conditions are needed. Picali then projects onto the screen, projects, think of a projector that's powered by magic, because that's what I need to happen here. Pictures of 3 hauntings in detail. The first, a fishing boat. The second, a woman who appears to be from, not this southern hemisphere, really bundled in a coat and stuff, and a stagecoach. Each incident was studied and photographed. I'm trying to roll in an existing encounter from a different system. Each incident was studied simultaneously from at least 3 positions, allowing accurate scaling of the apparitions. And the professor is able to demonstrate several characteristics shared by the 3. First, the 3 apparitions do not coalesce from points, as most tales describe, but slowly emerge whole from invisible planes as if passing through what Picali terms the curtains of perception. Second, each apparition is semi-transparent. He traces the clear passage of a wave through the fishing boat, for example, and shows that the image causes no froth or ripples. It does not resist the water. In the other images, the audience sees the second or sees other things happening through the image of the apparition. Each apparition glows appreciably, as Picali demonstrates by isolating the reflections from nearby objects, sampling attributes part of the glow to... I don't know what this means. Sampling attributes part of the glow to ionization, but not all. Anyway, careful indexing of the reflections indicates that the level of ionization varied randomly within each event. Fourth, the rate at which the 3 apparitions manifested motion was in comparison to normal movement slowed by a consistent half in each case. Picali points out a ripple passing across the sail of the fishing boat. The ripple seems normal while the ocean waves become ridiculous. If you speed up or slow down the image. So does the staircase descent of the woman seem to be less unusual when sped up. The horse drawing the cab swishes her tail causally, as if discouraging flies rather than making seemingly malevolent and mysterious gestures. Can you guys hear me okay? I see a lot of people are typing.
Yep.
Okay. 5. Historically, each of these 3 apparitions was held to have disappeared, not to have been killed or destroyed, though this observation could not be said true of every apparition. 6. Comparatively, instances of touchable, solid apparitions rarely occur. One might wait many lifetimes for a chance, Macaulay speculates. 7th. Such apparitions seem not to be uniformly preserved. The meridian area, for example, has been settled for many thousands of years, yet the vast majority of hauntings seem to have been produced only in the last century or so. Only a handful of records survive from the earlier times. He concludes his lecture by observing that in the past 30 years, we've begun to learn about that which cannot be seen or normally sensed, and that some such behavior that is possible, say, within the weave, would not be possible in the greater world. He speaks clearly of magic here. He's come to think that hauntings offer clues to so far indefinable ways at arriving at or opening a path into other dimensions. It is my belief, then, that such hauntings represent clues concerning a natural universe much larger and much stranger than we imagine. The walls of what we perceive as normality have a subtle flexibility. The spectral hauntings I have discussed represent attempts, perhaps random, perhaps purposeful, certainly unsuccessful, to return to this time and space by elements of it somehow removed. If we are energetic and not a little lucky in our observations, students of paraphysicality may one day be able to move up or down in time, or to travel globally with minor effort, or to perceive that which at present lies completely beyond our senses. What waits beyond remains the supreme question which, for the present, each must answer for himself. The lecture wraps up. You guys were all entertained at your own your beer and bread and wine and belching, as it were. But the reception starts after the lecture. Everybody's hanging around, chatting in their finery. What do you guys do?
I wish my mentor was here.
So we're all dressed up like formal, right?
Formal wear. Yep. Anybody want to describe what their formal wear looks like?
Sanal is standing in a corner, fidgeting with a tight black suit, not quite comfortable wearing it for the first time ever.
Darius is wearing his military uniform. Just sitting in the corner, staring at everybody profusely, semi-aggressively. Just watching.
I think Sivan might have borrowed the leather formal suit from one of the caravaneers,
Okay.
but isn't comfortable in it.
Cool.
Yeah.
You all get 1 point of experience for backstory. Slaghammer, you get nothing.
Why?
Because you didn't say anything.
You didn't let me.
I know. You'll have to wait till later.
God damn it.
Right.
Either way, I'm a cleric.
Anything else you guys would like to do here?
I don't
You gonna
know.
mingle or you gonna head out?
What was that?
You can mingle or you can head out. The lecture's over. You've done your duty here.
Sivan would like to get out.
I just walk around and pretend to mingle and just nod.
I'm gonna talk to people.
Okay.
Go into the crowd and mingle. Awkwardly.
Would you like to approach somebody and ask a question? There's, all kinds of people here of all shapes and sizes. Clearly some royalty, clearly some people who came from Meridia, wearing Regulus colors. There's, scientists, scholars, academics.
Find an academic.
Okay. Find a man,
I'm gonna ask
looks to
him
be about
about his
60 years
theory
old.
about- I'm gonna ask him
Short,
about this theory that I heard about this traveling carnival that has this weird curse that afflicts people that changes them slowly as they stay around it. And ask him what his theory on what it could be.
He would, so this guy would say to you, oh, it's a very interesting topic. Are you pursuing this research for presentation next year?
Possibly.
I am actually pursuing research into the sentient mushrooms that live underground. They seem to have a culture all their own. It's interesting because whenever we approach to study them, they're nowhere to be found, but adventurers and travelers seem to see them everywhere underground. There are rumors that these mushrooms are, as it were, connected to the higher, to creation, to the higher planes.
That's really interesting. I've heard amazing things about medicinal properties many mushrooms offer.
Yeah, some of these are as big as a man. They are definitely my interest in study, and I'd be happy to talk to you for hours about them. Did you know that some of them scream when you approach to warn the others to leave?
It sounds interesting. But also maybe because they're frightened of us?
It's like a rudimentary alarm system that has organically grown from the sentient creatures. Whether they planted them or they are a part of them, it's impossible to know, but wherever these creatures are, you can be sure that at the entrance there are screaming versions of them, and by the time you pass the screamers, the sentient ones are nowhere to be found.
That's interesting.
I have a paper that I'm releasing on it. I would be happy to get you a early copy of it.
Not one for reading much these days, but I would be glad to take a look. Also be glad to
I'll have
test
it
the
sent.
medicinal
Where are you staying
properties
at?
of some of these possible mushrooms.
Where would you be staying at?
Well, with a carnival by chance.
Well, if the carnival is still here, I will make sure that a copy of the paper gets sent directly over to you. And your name was?
Sanal.
Sanal. Yes. Well, it's very nice to meet you, Sanal. I will I will make sure to keep you apprised of my research. And then he turns around and starts talking to another scientist.
And I guess I'd head out.
So it's like, there any food here?
Oh yeah, there's a whole spread. It's a banquet.
Oh, I'll go mingle with some people by the buffet.
Why do I picture Baylor being that drunk guy at the buffet talking to you while he's piling one thing onto his plate after another?
Because you watch too many John Candy movies?
Yes, this is true.
At the buffet, there are a number of people who are piling things onto their plate while drunkenly talking with each other. In fact, John Candy's here.
He's a type of food.
Exactly.
Alright, I'll just start conversing amongst them, trying to find out more information about the hauntings. Did he give us like exact locations for each one of those three?
No, he didn't. But you could certainly have a conversation with Bakali back at the carnival.
Okay. Just trying to figure out more about them and the origins behind it.
So the people who are here are, not necessarily the expert on the hauntings. They only know what has just been presented, which is what you just heard. They're definitely interested in talking about it, and one of them would say something to the effect of, that was an incredible presentation. I really look forward to hearing more about these, I believe he called them gates, and the possible variety of such. If you could go to another world, what would that world be like?
Well, wouldn't be anything like anything he's probably ever seen. Then again, maybe you don't want to. That's why they're coming here, ain't it?
Oh, I just realized my Discord. My OBS was screwed up. Hold on a second, guys. I'll catch back up with you.
Okay.
You were saying?
That maybe it's not anything we should be seeing, because it's obviously why they're coming to our world, ain't it?
Just an interesting theory. You think that they are fleeing something?
Why else would they,
Dude, are these
Free from
hauntings
the-
undead by chance considered?
whatever Sage wants to make it at this point.
I don't know that anybody would have any idea.
Just don't seem like it'd be normal just to move out and away from what you know to be familiar, unless something else was threatening you in that position. For example, I wouldn't want to live in the heart of a volcano. Well, maybe I would. I am a dwarf. But that's beside the point. Hey, did you try this moulash? This stuff's pretty good.
I'm a vegetarian.
Really? Any interesting or any unique species of plant life unique to this area that you might know of?
No, we have the standard farms just like everywhere else. We grow cabbages and carrots, and squash. Squash is my favorite. It's almost milky if it's prepared right.
Okay. I'm also a brewer, so I try to see if I keep my mind open for some unique ingredients.
Have you had squash ale?
Can't say I have.
Fantastic.
Don't say that it would ferment that well. At least not as well as say cabbage. But that's more or less for sauerkraut.
Or
Can't
kimchi.
tell if I'm Scottish or Irish. God damn it.
If you spice it, it turns it
Yes.
into kimchi. No, that's pickling it.
Yeah,
That is fermented.
and it's a different type of cabbage.
Yeah.
Well, squash ale's a rich, deep amber beer with a delicate flavor and aroma. It's made in the spirit of the fall season. It's a great companion as the days get shorter, colder, and wetter.
Wait, now that I think about it, I have made a pumpkin brew before, and a pumpkin is a type of squash. I guess it would work.
That's right.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
No.
Oh, great, he's
Hello.
back.
Yeah, I thought my mic was broken. Sorry. I was talking the entire time.
Well, okay. Well, I guess we reached the end of the table. I'm gonna go eat. Take care.
Take care.
I can grab a drink.
Right. In the interest of moving this along, y'all finish up. Nothing really happens. You meander around, talk to some people. And then you arrive back at the carnival. Um, 2 days pass of standard carnival fare, people coming in, looking at the freaks. You guys have gotten kind of used to it at this point, and you just kind of keep out of the way. But on the third day, unwelcome news arrives.
Did you cut out?
Did I
You just
cut
cut out there.
Unwelcome news arrives on the third day. It reads, it's a newspaper from via Septentrion. The article reads, "Man dies 3 times in one night. 3 bodies in hotel. Each man carries same identity. 3 slain men were discovered last night in a Septentrion hotel, each bearing positive identification of one Mr. Mokrat. Each had been stabbed through the heart. Maids at the hotel discovered the remains. The room was also registered in the name of Mr. Mokrat. Bona fide papers identify the trio as one man, a antiques and art dealer doing business in the city. The victims bear superficial resemblances, and each has passed as Mokrat since independently arriving in Septentrion 3 days ago. Confusingly, the real Mr. Mokrat, or at least the man described by neighboring shopkeepers as Mr. Mokrat, cannot be found. Police request that he come forth. The passports of these individuals record independent worldwide travel for each man over the past 3 years. Inspectors are at a loss to describe the meaning of this bizarre mystery, but each is eager to converse with any other Mokrat still living."
Well, that's interesting.
Strange news.
So is this the work of a haunting? We should investigate possibly the hotel.
Well, if they allow us, then I guess we could.
Well, they certainly don't need us around here at the carnival, so let's go over to the hotel and see what we can find out.
Yes.
Yeah, why not? Be interesting at the very least.
I
Okay. So you head over to the hotel. What would you like to do?
Find the room that the thing happened in.
So for that,
The room
we
is
will
taped
have
off
to
a standard police tape. And there
anyone
is
guarding it?
there are guards. There are guards standing outside to prevent you from entering. If you ask to enter, they will refer you to the main police office, and that's kind of all they'll give you.
Oh, come on, guys. Just one look. You know, one little peek. I gotta see. And I'll go make sure everything's worked out.
Yeah, alright.
Now we've been instructed to guard here and not let anybody in.
Okay,
let's go
then.
speak
I'll go talk to your
to his
boss, I
officer then.
guess.
So you head over to the police station.
Well, actually, gentlemen, they asked me to stop by to sanctify the bodies, to make sure they don't come back as undead or raised. Final rites and all.
I am also a cleric.
You just remembered, didn't you, Cynic?
No. But at the same time, my guy wouldn't lie, so...
Make a deception check. With advantage. No. I believe these, the sanctification of the bodies is pending further investigation.
Alright, very well. I'll come back with some paperwork. Alright.
Heading over to police station.
Yeah.
Okay. You arrive, you walk in the door. There's people milling about, and clearly a kind of lobby area where you can walk around in. There's guards on the doors. There's a secretary out front that could help you. And there's definitely people who look like detectives kind of floating around in here.
Perhaps we are not the only ones to investigate this issue.
So are we
Well,
going to
yes.
talk to the cop?
I don't know. You're just standing in the lobby right now.
Go talk to the desk sergeant or whatever.
It's the secretary.
Go talk to the secretary.
Should say hi. Welcome to the Septentrian Police Station. Do you have a crime to report?
Not particularly. I was actually looking for whoever's investigating a very peculiar crime.
And which crime would that be?
The one at the hotel where the guy died 3 times?
Ah, yes, that would be Inspector Fleming. Let me see if he's available. Please hold on. And she'll get up, walk into the back, and after a couple of minutes come back and says, yeah, he'll see you. And she
Thank
leads you
you.
back.
And then point in a direction.
Inspector Fleming's office is near to the front, on the right side, about 3 doors down the hallway. He's sitting behind a large oak desk with papers and stuff spilled out all across it. He looks up as you enter and then looks back down to his work. And he says, "You have information about the murders at the hotel."
No, we were actually looking to maybe see if you wouldn't look some aid in gaining some more information.
Well, it is a puzzling case. If you have information, I would be happy to hear it.
We are quite adept with strange things, as well as things going wrong with death.
Yes.
You can each make a persuasion check.
Persuasion, right?
Or a deception check if you prefer.
Not intimidation.
You're really trying to intimidate.
You could do intimidation.
Police, Lieutenant.
I like how we got 3 15s and a 3.
Yeah.
I mean, I
All
got
right.
one.
You know, you guys, he's definitely perplexed by this, and he's willing to talk you through some of the more privileged notes on the case. On each corpse was an identical telegram sent from Meridia saying, "Meet me in Septentrion at once. Urgent. M." Second, vital details of the slayings were withheld from the press. Each corpse had been partially skinned. One the torso, one the arms, and the last the legs. And third, Mr. Makriot has a shop and home here in Septentrion, and he would give you an address. A police search turned up nothing.
Thank you. If there's anything you ever need of our help while we're here in town, you can find us over at the carnival. We will surely, if we find any
at
more
the-
information, bring it to you.
At the carnival? You're with the carnival.
Traveling with them momentarily, investigating them as well.
He shuffles through his papers. Here, this just came across my desk no more than 5 minutes before you walked in. It's a report of a crime, and it reads, "Professor Picali, a figure well known in academia, was sought today following the burning of his wagon under mysterious circumstances. Missing also is his assistant, the Squid Woman. One,
Oh shit.
what was her name?
You need to give her a name.
I did. She has a name. Let me find it. Tanira.
Oh, that's her name, right?
Tanira Courant. Also wanted his assistant, Tanira Courant, also known as the Squid Woman. Witnesses saw a woman resembling Tanira run out from the house, from the wagon, just before the fire broke out. Anyone knowing the whereabouts of Professor Picali or the Squid Woman is requested to contact Detective Sergeant Rigby at the Arson Division."
That was the professor we went and escorted to the thing the other day, right?
Sorry, what?
Is that the professor we escorted the other day?
Yes.
Guys, and I'd look at the group and go, guys, isn't that the guy we brought to the college the other day with all the other smart people?
Well,
There's a guy who told me some interesting stuff about mushroom.
Yes, Professor Bacali is the one that was from the carnival that gave the speech yesterday.
He's wanted for a crime?
so this crime happened today?
Yes, while you guys were walking around Septentrion. He's gone missing, Tanira has gone missing, and his wagon is burned.
Imagine he'd be investigating the haunting over at the hotel.
Well, maybe there's clues there. Let's go, Scooby.
Do we have permission from you, Inspector, to inspect the crime scene?
Maybe there's something left at the wagon that nobody saw or anything like that.
We should go back to where this all started, to the wagon.
Maybe there are clues at the wagon that people overlooked or didn't see.
And since you're not investigators, I can't allow you into the crime scene, but being as you are members of the carnival, you could investigate the wagon.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, thanks.
So you're walking back to the
Shall we
wagon.
take our leave?
Whoa, the wagon, yeah, to investigate the fire, the one that was burned, I guess.
Okay. On your way back, a hooded... It's hard to tell, exactly what this person looks like, wearing a cloak with a hood and large gloves. Walks up to you on the street, hands you something, and walks off. It is a note, and you would notice immediately that it's written on the back of Professor Picali's calling card. The impression of a signet ring has been left on a blob of wax closing an envelope. The note would read, "Come at once, I haven't long. For God's sake, let no one follow you. Picali." You can give me two things here. You can give me a perception check.
Okay.
Sinal, you would recall the such a ring that closed the signet ring that closed the envelope being worn by Picali on his way to the lecture. Baylor,
Picali
you
wore a
would
ring like
also
that, guys.
have a good idea that the person who handed this to you would match the height and weight of Tanira,
Assistant.
the squid woman. Yes.
Yeah, I figured as much. Big gloves equal, means big tentacles.
Alright, so I guess we follow.
Yeah, go to the meeting place.
Well, there's an address on the front. And the address is pretty close.
Are there any suspicious people around looking at us?
Give me another perception check.
Okay.
If you'd like, you can give me stealth checks.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to do that.
Woohoo! Forget disadvantage. 2 nat 20.
And stealth.
Yeah, you guys are all able to blend in with the crowd without causing too much of a ruckus. You can't tell if you were followed, but you don't think you were. So the address proves to be just a bedroom in a grimy building on an undistinguished street in Septentrion. When you knock on the door, Tanira cautiously opens it.
Hello.
Her hands are bandaged.
Oh, is something wrong?
Probably her hands are burned.
I was hoping she could tell me. Maybe I could help her. Is there anything I could do to assist you?
Give me an insight check. She's not forthcoming with anything.
All of us?
Just Sinal. Just Sinal.
I got a 14.
You can tell that she's very nervous, but this state is easily explained by concern for Pakali and their present hair-raising position. You would also infer that, yes, her hands were likely burned.
I would just maybe try to offer her some ointment or something from, just from my years of practice and see if maybe I could help her and then go to meet with the guy. Professor.
Mm-hmm. Inside the room, the drapes have been pulled, shutting out as much light as possible. The figure of Professor Pakali can be dimly seen on the bed.
Hello, Professor. Are you alright? Quite dark in here. I walk over towards the blinds.
Yeah,
Me.
so you would notice that the professor has intense burns on his face. His eyes are swollen shut.
On seeing that, I'd run up to offer him aid.
So make a medicine check. You would also note that his sideburns and mustache have been seared away. There's a side table here containing supplies for the treatment of burns, including bottles and tubes to administer and a salt and protein solution intravenously, as well as some pain-relieving drugs. You would ascertain that Tanira knows what she's doing, and she is treating him. The professor struggles to sit up. He greets you all in a gasping wheeze, not at all like his normal booming voice. As he addresses you, his tone grows... Sure. He still looks pretty badly burned, but he definitely feels a little bit better from this. His tone has been growing hoarser and hoarser. Last sentences are barely audible. He says, I cannot talk for long. I've been on the trail of a evil occult artifact. A statue and a source of great magical power. It was taken apart 30 years ago, scattered across the continent. I had planned to retrieve the pieces and destroy them, and the carnival provided a great opportunity for this. My lecture was intended to attract those who might help me, but my enemies found me soon after. Last night, we were attacked in the wagon. I believe they also seek the artifact, but for foul purposes. They tried to burn me alive, but Tanira saved us both. My notes were destroyed in the fire unless the people who burned us took them first. They must not be allowed to recover the artifact. Would you collect it before the assassins can reach it?
All you
I'll
have to
do my
say
best.
evil artifact.
I most certainly will get rid of such an evil thing.
Actually, this is kind of what Forge clerics do. They destroy evil artifacts and make good ones. What do you know of what the location of the pieces?
Only what I can remember. The artifact was originally dismembered in Meridia. The owner was a noble, a Comte Fenelic, who lost it. Some part of it may still be in Meridia. Meridian soldiers carried a piece into Steel Arrow when they defended that city from the werewolves. Another fragment made its way to, I believe, he wheezes a little bit, the Death Fjord at the same time. I don't know what became of it, but you should look up Johann Winkelmann at the museum there. There may be a piece in Magria.
Magria, that
It was
that
sold
place
to
of
someone. It was sold to someone, but I do not know who. One part was lost near Tidebreak. At the time, things of value were hidden from the invaders, so it may be buried somewhere. Finally, there's a piece
How many pieces
in
do we have? I thought there was
Waterside.
just 3.
Now there's 1, 2, 3, 5. There could be 6 up to 6 pieces.
No, but I mean, I thought he said there was 3.
Start-
He was talking.
Start at the National Museum in Waterside. Dr. Milovan Todorovic is the curator. Collect the statue pieces and destroy them. The only one sure way is to take it back to its original home. A place in the Rotlands, known as the Shunned Mosque. A ritual which will destroy it utterly is included in a set of documents known as the Rotland Scrolls, but I've been unable to consult them. His voice is nearly gone. He begs you to do this for him. Go. Go quickly. God
I
help
have
you.
in my water skin.
I'll take this charge.
He
I will
sips from
remove
the
this
water
evil
skin
from the
and
world.
falls back on the pillow.
Excuse me, what? What did you say?
He sips from the water skin and then falls back onto the pillow. His voice now entirely gone.
Alright, you rest there. We shall do our best.
I'll pull out the small green bottle from my bag and hand it over to the squid lady.
By the way, if
This,
somebody's taking notes on this, please post it into Rotlands RP lore.
Barely took anything on it.
Okay.
This is what I got so far.
No, we're going after one of the Winklevoss twins.
I misplaced one of those. I don't remember where it was. Anyway, I hand her a green bottle with about 12 ounces worth of fluid in it. Like, here, this will help keep them comfortable. It's a potent brew that has some pain relieving qualities. It'll numb the nerves.
Thank you.
Anybody else writing down any notes?
Yeah, I put them in the Rotlands RP Lord tab.
And
Okay.
the one in that field was in a museum.
Yeah, National Museum, Johann, whatever his name was. Winkleman.
Werewolves for Steel Arrow. And that was all I can see. Alright, so let's see. Do we go back to the cops? I'd probably say no.
We haven't found any information for them yet.
They're looking for this guy. This guy's here.
Does he feel like he would be safe with the police?
He's asleep.
She would say
Trick is-
no.
Maybe the police are part of it.
His assailants will likely be watching for burn victims. I have arranged to move him back to the carnival under an assumed name, give him a private wagon. I wanted to move him sooner, but Bakali insisted on this meeting. I can't disclose any more than that, as I fear the assailants may learn of the travel plans.
What if we went to the police and told them that we found your dead bodies out in the woods? After you tried to flee. That way that anyone who would be searching for you who would have ears or eyes in the police would think that you were dead.
It's a good idea.
Or maybe it gives us enough time for the carnival to pack up and leave.
Well, I say we go talk to them and we go talk to the police, tell them that we found their bodies out in the woods. You have any, bloody bandages or anything we might be able to use to help convince them that we found you? And then we will simply take them back into him, and then we will go and try and find these pieces of this artifact.
No, we don't need to prove that
Yeah, I
we found
think-
them. We just need to let them know that we found them.
Yes, but they're gonna want some evidence, probably.
Wouldn't they also want the bodies?
We talked to
Yeah.
some people that said they found them while we were on the street. We come to this
They ask
area.
for proof of the body, just tell we don't want to mess up the evidence at the crime scene,
You should really ask some more questions so that you can flesh out those RP lore notes. Because I think what you have there, everybody's going to be like, what the fuck is he talking about? And I'm not going to tell you all this again.
We want the RP lore section.
Yeah, like, there's more details here that you didn't capture that are probably worth clarifying. So, previous owner was a noble in Meridia. His name was Comte Fenelic.
There's also the video, that we can go back to YouTube to.
Also, the one in Death Fjord is also in a museum.
Yeah, National Museum. No, 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 no.
Just a museum.
No, the National Museum's waterside.
Right, but Johann Winkelmann is at the museum there.
Person of
Oh, yeah.
interest.
Steer arrow were by soldiers. Right, by soldiers.
Dr. Todorovic, Milovan Todorovic, is the curator of the National Museum at Waterside.
And Tidebreak's a pretty big place, and we can't just unearth just the same. We're gonna turn it into a whole
I
session
mean,
of
that's
holes.
what you said. It was just buried outside of Tidebreak or something like that. Buried somewhere around there. The hide treasure.
Lost near Tidebreak during the war. At that time, things of value were hidden from the invader, so it may be buried somewhere.
Somewhere to be hidden from the invaders.
So secret stashes underneath trees, small caves, etc. One in Magria most likely have a paper trail.
Well, we were told to first go to the National Museum and talk to that guy. There's also the guy in Death Fjord we can talk to. So yeah, we should probably go talk to Dr. Torovic first.
Well, you won't get a chance to choose where you go first because the carnival will go where the carnival
Yeah.
goes.
That was about what I was gonna say. I was like, "Where's the carnival going?" And are we still staying? With
Well,
the
then we
What's
should
that?
just go back to the carnival.
The one that's sold in Magra could be black market too, so I just put that down. Possibly.
Well, no, actually, we should go tell the police officer that the bodies, that they're dead.
Nah, shouldn't tell him nothing.
Okay.
Don't we have to get him back to the carnival though?
You still have the 3 murders here to investigate if you would like.
I thought that someone died 3 times.
Thought we also weren't allowed to look at the crime scene.
You can't, but you have an address of where the individual lived.
Well, then let's head there for the fun of it. You got nothing else to do for the day, guys?
Nope.
Go ahead. I gotta make up my 1 RP point somewhere.
So, the individual who was murdered, as we discussed, was art dealer? To be more specific. Antique and art dealer doing business in the city. And you find his shop. Mr. Makriat's Art and Antiques is the name of it. Neighboring shopkeepers might have something to say. You could just walk in and look around.
I'm going to walk in and check if there are any tracks or anything like in stains.
So a closed sign rests in the shop door's window, and the door is locked. Would you like to try to break in?
No.
Shouldn't we try knocking first?
There's no response.
Any windows?
Yes, plenty of windows.
Can I see
Dark
through
inside.
them?
There's lots of stuff on the windows too. There's artifacts and stuff being displayed in the windows. There's signage around the windows. You can get a peek in, but it's pretty dark inside. You can't really make out anything of investigative value.
Darius, you seem like the rape and pillage type. Why don't you break down the door?
Do you really think this is a good idea, Misty?
Is there anybody looking around or no? Sage.
Yeah, some of the nearby shopkeepers have come out of their shop and are kind of watching the group of 4 hawking adventurers stalking out around an antique shop.
We're also like, I think 3 clerics and a paladin.
Well,
No.
2 clerics,
See,
a
one's a
paladin, and a
ranger.
paladin cleric.
And you said
Oh,
the door,
sorry. Durin's a ranger.
And you said the door's locked.
The door is locked.
Is there a back entrance?
No, I mean there's the back side of the place is like another shop. There's alleys between them.
I see.
I'm gonna go ask his neighbors, the other shop owners, about him.
Yep, do that. And then after we'll break the door down.
Okay. All of the other shopkeepers remember him only vaguely. They describe him as an elderly man, but didn't really know him that well.
We're all here from the church to search out and find answers. There are questions whether or not this might have some kind of weird undead factor or something going on.
Well, they're not going to get in the way of the church.
Darius, break the door down.
Alright.
The neighboring
Not literally
shopkeepers
break the
also
door down,
say
you know.
that
Lightly break it.
the shop has been closed for a few days, and the shopkeeper has not returned. Taciturn old fellow. So
Gonna
that's
be
your
passively
investigation with
aggressive.
the shopkeepers.
I'm gonna passive aggressively open the door. Not like kick it down,
How?
more like
By shoulder
what?
bump it down.
yeah.
Make an athletics
Athletics.
check.
Is there glass on this door?
Yes.
Can we just punch through it?
Yeah,
and
so
unlock
you're
it from
able
the
to-
inside?
You're able to put a shoulder through the glass. It shatters. The door opens freely.
Yeah.
Inside, the ground floor is a showroom filled with unremarkable pieces. Does anybody here have any background in, like, is anybody a world traveler who might recognize where these are from, or?
Spent my entire youth traveling
Really?
the world.
That's
Oh,
Character
probably
spent his youth
thing.
traveling the world, helping all kinds of people, like traveling missionary.
Okay. So you would recognize that these pieces tend to come from the area of the EI Wildlands. There's some brasswork, rugs, ceramics, Some are clearly reproductions, but they are old pieces. And that's what's downstairs. The upstairs is a living space for one man of quiet habits. The police have already investigated and found nothing of note here. But you can give me a perception check and see what you can find.
Okay.
I'm more interested in the artifacts
Yeah,
downstairs.
Baylor, you would notice one thing, that the property lacks luggage other than an old leather satchel with a broken handle, and that some of the bedroom drawers are half empty of clothing.
So everybody's packed and already made sure that they left. Or left in a hurry.
How does that make you feel about your past? Baylor, how does that make you feel about your past? You know, seeing all these bag packed.
Great question. You would also find, Baylor, since you have run a business, you go straight to the accounts books, which are shelved underneath the counter. Purchase invoices show that most of his goods were imported or bought from auction houses. Give me a intelligence check, unskilled. Baylor.
Okay, I'm casting guidance on myself.
Okay. Yeah, nothing really jumps out at you.
Okay. There's still money in the till. Or the cash register.
There is not any money in the till.
Any nearby safe?
You don't see a safe. Give me a perception check. You find a safe, Baylor. How the fuck do you have a 25 perception?
I have guidance. I'm adding that for every skill check. Fuck that. That's why I have it as a cantrip. And plus, I'm
Yeah,
efficient
you
on
find a
that.
safe.
Perception.
It is locked.
I might be able to get this open after a few hours if we need to check in here, but anybody else have a way to open this safe?
How much is the safe way?
A lot.
What kind of safe is it?
Yeah, is it bolted
lock?
into the
It's a
floor?
wall- Sorry, it's a floor safe under the
Is
bed.
it bolted into the floor? Like,
It's securely attached to the floor.
What's the lock like?
Combo key.
Key.
Okay.
Maybe the dead body has a key on him.
does it feel like the cops found this safe?
Yeah, you have no way of knowing. It's
Well,
pretty
you know,
well hidden.
like, there might be fingerprint dusting, you know, something like that. Some way to notice that generally when they're searching for a crime, they look for evidence and it gets taped off or marked
They
off and all
don't
kinds of
have
things.
fingerprint dusting in this world.
What's the condition of the safe? rusted around the
It's
edges.
in fine condition. No, it's regularly used.
Can I tell what type of metal it is?
Give me a intelligence check of your choice. I don't know. Investigation. It's made of steel.
High or low carbon?
Gonna go with middle carbon.
All right. Cool. Yeah, I think I can break it. It just might take a while. I'd have to get the latches up to a certain temperature and then douse them real quick to make the molecular structure get all brittle, and then we can just shatter it. But it would take time to get it to create a fire that would and get the heat on the safe to make that type temperature.
Don't that also damage the items inside it?
Not if it's localized to just the joints. Here, here, and here. And then we should be able to slide off the top. And
Okay.
I point at the 3 locations on the other side of the door from the lever. Anybody have a fire cantrip?
No.
Sacred flame.
That's radiant.
You don't have shatter.
Dude, we're like level 1. What the fuck do you think we're gonna get shatter from?
I mean, I do have searing smite. Just attack it with my hand.
There's no fireplace in the.
Wait, how about this? Can I inflict wounds on the safe?
You can.
Nobody has any acid or anything like that.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
now that you mention it.
I have acid with me.
Pour acid on the hinges.
Actually,
Since
acid.
you know better than me, I'm going to hand them over to you for this. And
Oh, I got 10 things of acid with me. That's one thing I learned about Sage's games. You always want acid and holy water. Although I forgot alchemical fire.
Yeah, I only
Anyway.
packed holy water.
Okay. So, I'll use my smith's tools and some acid and I'm sure they've got like some oil in the shop inside of a lamp or something. I'll use that to start
Yeah.
working it down.
Well, the contact of the acid with the steel generates an immediate acid attack with the formulation of hydrogen gas and ferrous ions, which in turn form a protective layer of FeSO4 on the metallic surface.
Iron sulfate?
What
Takes about.
you think we're Asmo? Like we understand all those terms?
Well, Fe is iron, S is sulfide. Especially with the 4 modifier. It's either sulfide or sulfate.
SES
I can't remember.
FeSO4 sulfuric oxide.
I forgot my chemistry. It's been 10 years. Leave me alone. Yeah, Sage is trying to sound smart.
So what?
I don't
Metal
know
got
anything
stronger or
about
something?
chemistry.
Or...
No. It takes a while. It takes about 15 minutes. But eventually it's brittle enough where a good boot slap could kick off these hinges. Damn
it, 1 in 30.
That's a pretty good boot slap. Yeah, you break it open.
All right. Anything good inside?
Inside, you would find one page that's been removed from the accounting ledger.
All right. I'll read the page.
That's a lot of numbers.
It is detailing the purchase and consignment of a special commission train set purchased some months ago from a local estate. And then in the ledger of current shop sales, the last item sold was a special commission train set delivered to a Mr. Henry Stanley, sold for 1 gold piece.
Wow. Okay. So how much was it paid for originally?
12 gold pieces.
Bought it for 12, sold it for 1. Yeah, that definitely seems off.
Sounds like something a drug addict would do.
No. Not something of this nature, because even vapors aren't that expensive. As in vapes.
Does this mean we're gonna go talk to Mel?
Mel's the president.
Oh, that's right. But Mel's also a drug dealer, isn't he?
He probably has drug dealers to do his drug dealing for him. That's how he stays president.
Well, you know what I mean? I don't mean he's out on the street selling it himself anymore, but he's like the head of the cartel.
You just don't go to Cuba and go, I'm gonna go talk to Fidel today. Oh yeah, that's right, he does.
Well, you do if you know the right people.
Or the wrong people.
Exactly.
Let's see. Alright.
So who can we go talk to? What does this note say again?
You just said.
Mr. Henry Stanley.
Alright, well, we have a lead. This was hidden.
Why don't we
There's
also,
also-
after finding this, go take this to the police and see if, that doesn't give us some good grace points with them.
Actually, I want to see if I can find the place in the ledger where this was taken from. See if there was anything before or after that also seems a little bit weird or off.
Okay.
So I can match the same time frame.
So this was torn from towards the end of the ledger. You didn't notice it because your investigation check was crap. But it definitely was purchased some months before, and it looks like it was it was the only page that was torn out of the ledger. There's lots of stuff, rugs and figurines and stuff that are accounted for in the ledger. The fact that none of them were torn out, I mean, this would seem business as usual, except for the fact that for some reason it was removed and hidden in a safe.
In which case, it's probably due to either the fact that it is such a discrepancy, or they didn't want anybody to find the name or be associated with such. There's no other things around the same time that also have high buys, low sales.
No, he seemed to be turning a pretty decent profit.
Anything in the same area of monetary value. Because normally stuff is like silver and copper and stuff, but not actually just many gold pieces.
Well, these are antiques for high-end owners. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff in the 1 gold piece range to be sold. Stuff's acquired for a few silvers, but there is stuff that's acquired for 5 gold, 10 gold, 15 gold, and sold for 25, 50, 75 gold. That's not necessarily uncommon. Think about how much money a level 5 adventurer would pull out of his trouble. Like 2,000 gold to furnish your house, not a huge deal.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess we could go and see if we can find this guy. Does it have a address listed?
It does not. It says delivered to Mr. Henry Stanley.
What if there's a contact book somewhere in the office?
Not that you've turned up through your investigations.
Has anybody else seen one?
You could try the library. That's where the census records are kept.
Anybody else? Nowadays?
Oh, what?
I'm not trying to make this a one-man show.
Like, do what?
I'm not so good with books, man.
We're trying to find
Like, read? Like, what do you want us to do?
You just stand there and look pretty. We're gonna go to the library, okay?
I can do that. I can look pretty.
Alright.
If you get a paper cut, come to me. Let me know. I can get you there too.
I just shoulder shrug.
We'll take
Look
the,
for any comment. I just shrug it off.
We'll take the ledgers and with the page and everything. We'll eventually go back to the cops. But first, yeah, that's what his name is. Come on, that's your character. Dairy us.
Well, that's not Darius's image, but okay.
No, that just seems funny. Alright, so let's go to the library.
To the book place.
Okay.
Okay.
So you'd arrive at the library and go in and inquire about getting access to some of their stacks. Unfortunately, the librarian would inform you that lacking membership in the citizenry of Septentrion, you would need either academic references, a clear statement of need specific to library holdings, or a waiting period of several days or weeks to allow study of you and your applications. The easiest of these to come by would be the clear statement of need.
So why don't we go bring this to the police and then use that as get a clear statement of need to go to the library? We did just find a piece of evidence that they clearly did not find in that house inside that safe. With there, then we could get a clear statement of need from them to go to the library.
Yes.
Sound good?
Okay, you do that.
Yeah.
The police are happy to provide you with a temporary, a note from teacher or whatever. It says, please allow access to the library under the authority of the Septentrion Investigators Unit. So you take that back, they give you access, and you have access to the stacks of the library. What would you like to research?
Not housing. What's the damn term?
Census?
Census?
You wanted to look into census information. Well, he's doing that. I'd also like to try and find some books and maybe find more information about this weird thing going on with the circus.
Yeah, I'm also going to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, well, I'm in here. Why not take advantage?
Give me investigation checks from anybody researching.
Woohoo! Hey, I didn't do bad.
investigation.
Okay, so now what were you looking for? Information about the twisting?
Yeah, and just general information on it to learn more.
You find no mention of the twisting or the carnival in any stack in the library. It appears that nobody really cares. Baylor, what are you researching?
I'm trying to look for more information on the guy from the ledger. Who he is, what he owns, etc.
Okay, you would find his name and an address. He has a place in
Known relatives.
he has a place in Salefrit. That is his last known address. Salefrit is in the EI Wildlands east of Deathfjord.
Well, it sounds like we should head back to the carnival and see how long until they pull up stakes. It's already been here for a couple days.
So this investigation takes you... Oh, Siren, what did you want to investigate? Siren? I think you said you wanted to look into the twisting. Yeah, it's not really covered in any depth inside the library. But this investigation takes you the entire day to do. And you would notice towards the end of the day a scholar slumped over his books, hat still rudely on his head, apparently dozing. Was the library busy, or was the man snoring? The attendants would have awakened him, but outside the skies are pouring and most scholars have remained at home. What would draw your attention to him is that he slowly tumbles off his chair and lays unmoving on the floor.
I would run up to him and check on him because that's not something a healthy person does.
Beneath his hat, beneath his overcoat, beneath his shoes and socks, you would see a skinned corpse.
Well, that's frightening.
Which part of the body is skin?
Is this the part where I'm supposed to go with my 8 intelligence and
The
check if he's still
whole-
alive?
The whole body, head to toe, has been skinned.
Now, the most amazing
Attached to
part
the
is they
corpse
did it
is
with
a
the
note.
clothing on.
Attached to the corpse is a note that reads, "The skinless one will not be denied." It is
Wait,
inscribed
still skinless?
on human skin. From the same corpse, in fact. A couple of attendants run over and scream. After a moment, you're escorted from the library.
Yeah, screaming like a little girl.
All right then. Hey, want to go check out the other corpses? We got the paper that says we actually do stuff now.
But I think we need to head back to the circus at the end of the evening.
Yes, at least we should learn when they are going to leave.
Yeah,
Well-
make sure they don't pull up stakes without us.
Well, I mean, this would be like their busiest time of day, night.
They're weird. They just show up and disappear.
Okay.
So
Our
the
messages.
crime scene.
How are messages sent? By
Sorry, what?
courier? Courier from a post office, etc.?
Sure,
Okay. I'm gonna stop by.
that's the most common way to send them.
On the way back to the carnival, I'm gonna stop by a post office and have them try to send a letter to my uncle over in Magria, inquiring about the piece that was sold over there.
Okay. What would you like the letter to read?
Dearest uncle,
By the way, you get your point of experience.
I'm trying. I've come to find that artifact of quite some value, small piece of ancient statue was sold in Magria. Did we get a time frame from it? From him?
No.
No, I didn't think so. He fell asleep. But it's sold, and I wanted to see if you might be able to trying to find out who the seller was, as well as the buyer. I was wondering if you might be able to track down some information for me of any possible buyers and sellers in the I don't know, big sales in the last, say, 10 years.
What's
Tell
your
our
uncle's
goal.
name?
Curridon.
Could you type that?
Uncle Curry.
Yeah, I actually had it in my backstory.
Okay. You send the letter out.
And tell Aunt Moreau that I can't wait to taste some more of Rochelle pie. Random dwarf talk is funny. Should be back in the area within the next year. Good day. Most love. Baylor. There. Okay, now back to the carnival.
All right. Upon arriving back at the carnival, you would note a couple of things. Definitely a very busy time, but neither the professor nor Tanira have returned.
I would ask to see if anyone had heard from them. Because they did say that they were sending word
So,
to get aid in there.
Probably the best place to ask would be the Gargantuan inside Picali's Hall of Horrors. They seem to be good friends. The Gargantuan is a very, very large man, 1,000 pounds. He would have not seen them since the wagon burned.
He had sent. The professor had told us that he sent word ahead to gain some aid in his return.
His word never arrived.
He's pretty fast and can be stealthy.
Probably the ranger. The other three of us all wear heavy armor.
Yeah,
I were medium, but it's alright.
yeah. Well, as long as you don't have disadvantage on stealth checks. Go and stealth back to his. Be sneaky. Don't be seen. And try to get back to his location. See if he's still all right.
Okay.
We'll follow you shortly.
Okay, so Sivan's going to stealthily go and check on the professor.
Okay, roll your stealth check. Very stealthy. You would notice that the room he was staying in is empty.
Any
What, is
footprints?
it like cleaned out empty, or is it?
It's all him. We're not there.
Yeah, though empty as in no one's there.
Well,
or
there was not
nothing's
much
there?
in the room. There was not much in the room beforehand. It was just a bed and a table. The bed and the table are still there, but there is no one else present.
Any footprints?
Make an investigation check.
For what? Why? Oh,
Not that you can see.
Okay, I'm going to come out of there and head back to the party. The rest of the party.
Okay. That whole trip takes you about an hour. Carnival's still going strong.
Okay, I tell to them no one was there.
Was there stuff knocked over? Did it look like a struggle?
No.
All right. Well, they must have left. Might have got taken on the way. Or they're hiding out somewhere else.
They probably weren't able to stay in the same place for long.
Shouldn't we be worried though? They haven't returned to the carnival yet. They said that they were planning to. And no one at the carnival has heard from them.
Just curious. What? Just starting to think that the skinned man might have been him. Did the clothing look familiar?
No. But you can make a perception check. So the skinned man was clearly not him, of a much different build, taller by at least 3 inches.
Okay.
You'd also note that the shoes worn by the man were different than the shoes worn by Pakali, and that the skinned man was likely just a regular person. Just somebody from Septentrion, perhaps.
Any thoughts?
I'm still having bloody flashbacks to the skinned body.
So a couple of other things that we should talk about kind of in this downtime. Sanal, Baylor, and Siren, this is your second week, if you will, at the carnival. You would already begin seeing some changes. The twisting has already begun to affect you. Sanal. Where did I write this down? I got my notes around here somewhere.
What was the twisting again?
The thing that makes you a freak in the freak show.
Why did we decide to follow this carnival around?
'Cause plot armor.
Yeah, otherwise, Steven would never follow that carnival under those conditions.
Sorry,
Well, now
guys.
you're following it around because the twisting is affecting the crops and the land and all of the... Like, if they stay too long in one place, the ground under them begins to change and twist and corrupt. And that's worth looking into.
So I just had a question.
And the twisting's not a
about-
permanent change.
No, if you. That's.
Use your words, man.
Nothing. Not gonna say anything. Got nothing to say.
Okay.
So, Sinal, what's happened to you is you would notice, everybody around you would notice that Sinal's lips have begun to twist and curl. He has... How do I describe this? The corners of his mouth seem to be further along his cheeks than they should be.
I have
Sort
a
of like
Cheshire
the
grin.
Joker.
I was gonna say he looks
Yes,
like the Joker,
exactly.
Cheshire grin, I think, is the term.
Which Joker? Jack Nicholson Joker, Keith Ledger Joker, Mark Hamill Joker.
Heath Ledger. Let's go with Heath Ledger. Why would you go with anybody but Heath Ledger?
Because they all have different smiles, and Mark Hamill's the best anyway.
But Jack Nicholson was a pretty good Joker.
Yeah, he was pretty good. But his was more aesthetic. Ledger was good for emotional impact.
Baylor.
Hamill has it for the rest. Yeah.
You would feel this almost feels like indigestion welling up inside you. This burning sensation coming from your chest. And, you know, you stick your hand down there to feel at some point, and there's definitely heat radiating off of your chest. For
Yeah.
what reason, you're not sure.
You're gonna have really bad heartburn.
I was about to say I take some Tums. I try to breathe
And
out
Sinal,
fire.
sorry. Siren. Your veins feel like they are on fire. Like the blood inside you has begun to boil.
So I got a Cheshire grin, Shoxine got a heartburn, and Can got a nice whopping heroin addiction.
I don't know. So far, it sounds like I just became a dragonborn and have dragon breath. I've become a fire breather.
It's not
Wow.
far from the truth.
Actually, that'd actually be pretty cool since I do have all this beer. Become my own flamethrower.
Don't use beer to do fire breathing. Or alcohol. Alcohol tends to be more explosive
Anyway.
than flammable.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to use white gas. There are a couple more of Pakali's troop in the Hall of Horrors that you guys have not met yet. So I'm going to introduce you guys to them They may have some more information about Pakali or just general stuff on your adventures. So, the first individual, there are 4 in his troop. The Squid Woman is one. The Gargantuan is the second. The third I'll introduce you to is the Geek. His name represents more of that crude carnival slang that Tyndall and his crew are always spouting. Here to geek at something means to slaughter it, as a butcher would do a pig. This young man's given name is Roman Alzanik. Roman Alzanik. And he is the eldest son of a minor baron. One particularly harsh winter, there was a knock at his door. He happened to be passing through the foyer when a manservant answered the knock to reveal a thin and shivering peasant girl from a nearby town. The girl explained that her family had brought in a poor harvest this year, and they had no more food. She fell on her knees, begging the wealthy Alzaniks to give her family enough sustenance to survive to the spring. Again, I must remind you that many here at the carnival have done regrettable things in the past. I ask again that you judge them not by their deeds, but by the repentance now in their hearts. Roman was disgusted with the girl's laziness, and he had her thrown off his family grounds. The next day, when Roman went out to hunt pheasant, he found the girl's lifeless, frozen body lying in the road, not far from the edge of the Olzanik estate. A dreadful chill went down his spine, and he returned to his home with a strange fear gnawing at his belly. That night, as a fine dinner was served to Roman and his family, he discovered that the exquisite cuisine made him violently ill. What judgment truly fell here? None can say. Perhaps the starving peasant girl cursed him with her dying breath. Perhaps he was struck down by pernicious higher powers, if you believe the quaint folk tales. The unavoidable truth is that Roman paid for his misdeed long before the twisting enacted its justice. Never again could he enjoy his fine foods. He began to starve, in fact, and only through sheer desperation did he discover that he could survive, but only on the most sickening and rancid of meals. He was reduced to eating refuse, table scraps, garbage.
Something strong.
That rotten food tastes just as foul to Roman as it would to you or I. But we must do what is necessary to survive. There's a bright side to his degradation. Roman now seems to be immune to all toxins and can taste them in his food. Eventually, his disgusted family threw Roman out into the cold. Totally unprepared to support himself, he was living as a ragged beggar when Isolde drew him into her fold, just a year before I arrived. Now, this is written from Pakali's point of view. Did his life change for the better? Far from it. Now he is displayed in a caged wagon, kept away from that savage man-beast in the same wagon by nothing more than a thin wooden wall. Roman is portrayed as a subhuman, and he eats all manner of filth for the benefit of a paying audience, live frogs and chickens being his specialty. Off stage, the freaks compel him to act as a food taster when they purchase supplies. If Roman gets sick, the food is safe to eat. The twisting is also added to his insult. His skin has become jaundiced, his features sunken, his teeth long and sharp. If you ask me, Isolde's corruption has turned him into a living ghoul. But Roman has repented the errors of his youth, my friend. He is now a generous soul, and none of my allies are more dedicated to the destruction of our infernal foe.
I have a meal I think he might enjoy. It's called surströmming. It's fermented herring.
Sounds delicious.
Oh. It sounds that way until you smell it.
Beats frogs any day, doesn't it?
I don't know. I've had some good frogs cooked in my day.
You could say that my next associate is tenured here at the carnival. as I was at the Institute in Septentrian. You can call her what you wish. Her true name is unknown even to her. In the Carnival, she was called Charlotte. Here, she has been proclaimed the Fire Eater. Yes, Charlotte is part of Hermes's original troupe, one of the freaks who escaped from the puppet show in Le Moray. She's a gifted entertainer, and she presents one of our most exciting acts. Even I find her talents impressive. Just be sure to keep your distance when she begins to spew fire from her lips. That's not all she does. She can cause her knives to burst into flame simply by running their edges across her palms. She then juggles the burning blades, creating a, how does Tyndall put it? Yes, a whirling firestorm, which leaves her completely unscathed. Stranger, meet Charlotte. Charlotte, meet new potential friends. I noticed that twinge of pain when you shook her hand, but don't worry, your mind isn't playing tricks with you. She truly is uncomfortably hot to the touch. Charlotte performed her fire act all the way back to in Le Moray, and she is little changed. The twisting seems to have been kind to her. I wasn't here when the twisting began, mind you, so I'm not certain whether her swirling red and orange eyes and fiery red hair are meant to be a reflection of her hot disposition or vice versa. For some reason, I consider it rude to ask. I can tell you that she has spent all her years under Isolde's banner, sweltering in the unnatural heat of her own blood. You see, Charlotte is a walking powder keg, and I mean that in a very literal sense. Fortunately, she won't explode, but her breath and her blood are both more potent than an alchemical's most incendiary concoction. I'm sure Tyndall or one of the other freaks has told you the tale of the Carnival de la Moray and the Puppet Master. No need to repeat that bit of melodrama. Charlotte was one of the performers there, banished to the puppet show and altered to reflect her so-called failings. She was also robbed of all memory in her former life. She never did learn who she really was, what crime she had committed to be so cruelly punished. I fear that her experience with the puppet master has haunted Charlotte ever since, and left her a touch temperamental. Have no fear, I count Charlotte as a close friend. She is a trusted ally in the cause. I am simply warning you not to cross her.
At least not till I reach level 7. Okay. So we can ask them if they have heard word.
Who would you like to ask, and what would you like to ask?
They've heard from the professor.
They'd shake their head together. No words since the wagon burned down.
We never did look at the wagon.
It doesn't really exist anymore. Pile of ash where it once stood.
Well, so what y'all know about what the professor was doing?
What are you referring to?
His true motivations.
Which ones? The professor had many. What do you know of his true motivations?
Only what he had told us.
Well, the professor believes that Isolde is a fiend, and his motivation, as far as we know, is to see her thrown back to the pits of hell from whence she came.
And by destroying the statue, it would do just that. That was a question.
What statue?
The one he was looking for.
We don't know
How
anything
long
about
ago
a statue.
did Isolde join the circus?
The same time around Espella.
I want to insight check him.
Escala. Right, Sage?
I'm looking.
Trying to see if the coincides with the period of time when the statue had those issues.
I'm looking. Actually, no one. They don't know when Isolde joined the circus. She's been there I think as long as they have. I don't have an exact date. Obviously, so some of the earlier stories they could tell you is the story of Hermos. Let me just double check this. God, this is like a 70-page book. Hermos. A gentle, kind-hearted man who stands 10 feet tall and has long, awkward limbs, serves as the carnival foreman and provides spiritual guidance for the troopers, most of whom respect and love him. Originally with the puppet show, the Carnival Lemurai, he helped overthrow the puppet master and led the other fugitives into the mists. Then the hapless band eventually met with trouble, and Isolde arrived on the scene to save them. Does anybody want to do anything else? Or do you want to call it?
Not
You've
quite.
you've successfully completed an investigation, and you have learned something new about the Rotlands quest. So everybody's got their full XP for today. I'm out of story to tell. I mean, we can go and hang around the carnival and talk to people if you want, but as far as the greater arc, we've done everything we need to.
Damn, that was pretty quick.
Yeah, it went quicker than I expected. We've got about 30 minutes left, so there's definitely investigation you can do around the carnival, but it's all
Let's go
side-
find some of those
yeah,
mushrooms that guy was
stuff.
talking about and collect some samples.
Yeah, that's not going to happen today. What I'm saying is you can meet a couple more carnival barkers or sorry, carnival
we-
troopers.
Yeah, I'd like to call it. You know, get food and stuff.
And then that's fine with me. There's plenty more to come in the PM session and then on next week. So as you finish discussing with the firewoman and the geek, the gargantuan, the whereabouts of Pakali and the squid woman Isolde would come by and say, "Pull up stakes, we're moving." The fire-breathing woman would say, "But Pakali, he hasn't returned." And Isolde said, "And he will not. It's time to go." You all load into a wagon and enter the mists.
Dum dum dum.
Let's do a vote for that last XP point.
I think this time I clearly know who to vote for. Unlike last time. Last time I couldn't even vote anyone because I wasn't sure who to vote at all.
Votes up. It's available on Twitch. Anybody watching can feel free to vote as well. So you would all collect a treasure point for your adventure, 3 experience. Make sure I get your treasure points updated.
That's right, everybody goes up to 2 today.
So, Steven now levels up.
I'd like to buy an item.
This is a close one. Baylor, 3 votes. Darius, 2.
What did Darius
Looks like
do
it'll go to
today?
Baylor.
Oh, I get a vote.
I mean, I broke down the door. That was
Siren
pretty
got a vote
cool.
in Sinal.
I could have broke down a door too with a 19 strength. Come on.
Congratulations, Baylor.
Yay. It's 8 for
All right,
level
we'll
3,
end
right?
up buying it. No, it's 4.
No, I mean total.
It's 4. Yes, total 8. 4 per level. And then it goes up, I think, at level 6 or 5 or something.
Do the points roll over or no?
Yes.
Yeah.
Case.